running out of fuel, and I didn't know enough 2 years ago to determine, was it lean, was it rich? Now I know, looking back, it was lean. That's what a lean misfire was that I was experiencing. And recently, a few months ago, I tried again with this car, tried diagnosing it, because I've just been working on it here and there, and I haven't been able to figure out. A few months ago, working on it, and when it stalled on me, quickly I checked in the car after shutting it off. No fuel in the bowl. So the carburetor was losing gas. So I had a fuel delivery issue. That means either it's a bad fuel pump, a clogged fuel line, clogged fuel filter, or maybe just some junk in the tank, something like that. Either way, something's probably getting clogged. Well, I found a fuel filter in the factory location that I never knew about, and it was disgusting and it was clogged. This is the first time on a real main road since I moved to my new house. It's been over a year now. Man, it's always the little things. You can't overlook the little things when it comes to diagnosing cars. Just a cheap little fuel filter that I couldn't find. That seems to have been the whole issue. And I've thrown several parts at it, more than I should have, admittedly. And I still haven't spent that much because I've been throwing cheap parts at it just to see. But idling good. This is great news. At a gas station. Man, it's been so long since I've been able to drive this car. Now let's get back home. Let's show you what that fuel filter looked like, where it was. Just to catch you up on speed, what I've been doing to this car in the last 2 years, ever since it started acting up. Now ever since then, I put on a new distributor and a new coil, and honestly I think that was necessary anyways. The timing was kind of dancing around, and now it's super steady and I had no issues with this distributor coil. So even though that wasn't the issue, I still think it was a good idea, and it's really not that expensive. The other thing, I relocated my fuel filter. Now when I got this car, I had this electronic fuel pump. The fuel filter was actually underneath it, and then the fuel line here, this just normal rubber fuel line, was making a sharp 180 and it was kinking. And I relocated it down here, zip tied it to kind of the firewall here, and now there's no kinks anywhere and it's perfectly happy. But again, that didn't solve the issue. Coming on this side, I think I see what was causing that idle to spike up when I revved it. Here's my choke wire. Came off, so I'm sure the choke is sticking up. That's why. So I need to crimp that on better. But on this side, now I messed with the fuel pressure regulator that someone mounted to this car. Weber's need about 2.5 psi, and you don't really want to go more than that. So I tried to verify what pressure I was getting out of the fuel pump and out of the regulator. I was getting 2.5 psi, and this regulator honestly it doesn't even go as low as 2.5 psi. So the regulator isn't doing anything. Even though I try adjusting it, it doesn't go down that low. So this is useless, other than it routes my fuel lines. But it also is another connection where fuel could leak, so there's that. Now I did have a Weber 38. I have switched over. This is a Weber 3236. And I was making a video on doing that because I thought for sure the 38 was just too big, and that was my issues. And I still stand by, the 38 was too big. It's way more peppy, way more happier now when you get onto it and the back barrel opens up. That feels a whole lot better than synchronous barrels. Just a feeling that I get. But 3236, this is just the Chinese one, $100, super cheap. No issues with it, although I probably have to go through and tune it. I know I need to adjust the idle jet for sure, but I got it set up enough to where it's working. Here in the boot, this is where my troubles were. So this panel here, I didn't know there was something behind it. And what's behind it? Well, here's our fuel sending unit, and there's a toggle switch. That wire was wired up to there, so someone wired this light into a toggle switch off of the fuel sender. It never worked, so we'll come back to that. Here is where I replaced the fuel filter. The old one was disgusting, and as you can see, this new one is getting some stuff in it. That means I got some junk in this fuel tank, and that needs to be cleaned, otherwise the same issue is going to happen again. Now we'll see how long it takes for it to come back. If it takes a couple months or whatever, you know, you can deal with that. Just swap out the fuel filter every once in a while. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And this is that old fuel filter that I pulled out and blew into. Just destroyed. So gross. Made in Israel. Interesting. I'm sure this is really old too, but yeah, well, and luckily I already had a couple of these. I don't remember why. I bought something else and it came with it, so I threw it in and bam, issue solved. Now I have the question, what to do with the Spitfire. I have my 79 Corvette. This is my show car. This is the car I want to take to car shows, car meets. This is where all that attention is going to go. And plus, proposing to my wife in this car is not going anywhere. So I don't need two show cars. Now the Spitfire does get more attention, but I just like the Corvette more, personally. So either way, I'm going to eventually sell this car. I don't know when. I just know I'll be sending it off and using the funds to fund a new project. But in the meanwhile, what do I do with it? Should I just sell it as is? I know there's some little issues here and there. I need to readjust the slave cylinder again because the clutch grabs like inches or centimeters off the floor. It's horrible. I need to readjust that. And I know there's some surprises on the underside, on the passenger side floorboard, that I really should look into. I also have the option of going through the engine, maybe paint it up, clean it at the very least. This would be a very easy engine to just clean, take off the manifolds, clean, spray some paint on it, and it would look 1,000 times better. But I also don't want to get carried away and do the frame rails, the suspension, because then, well, I'm going to have to do the firewall. And if I do that, then I have to do the wheel wells. And if I do that, might as well paint the whole car, and I don't want to go that route. So let me know what you think I should do with this car. I still have a few plans with it. We got to take it to another car show for sure before we send it off. We'll see. Well, the Spitfire is not fixed. Just tried taking it out to a car show, and we didn't even make it out of the neighborhood that much. However, I think we have officially diagnosed the problem. If you look at the fuel filter here, it is nasty. And it was never nasty before. So the fuel filter back here that I changed is now allowing stuff to come up through the front filter, so it's flowing better, which is good. But there's junk in here. If you look right here, I mean, this was a brand new filter. There's stuff in it. Look at all that junk. So either this gas tank needs to be cleaned or replaced. There is just junk in the inside of it. So that's going to be the plan of attack, but I think it's safe to say that is the issue with the Spitfire. So it's not fixed, but we've diagnosed the issue as just junk in the fuel tank. I can keep throwing filters at it, but man, I wasn't even able to get 10 miles down, and then it clogged up again, so that's not good. So we'll be addressing this. Probably going to drop the tank out and then assess whether I need to buy a new one or if I can clean this at all. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.